As Coach Lito said, my name is Brandarius Johnson. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, and as far as I can remember, I really thought my life would be D1, NFL, retire my mom's, right? It didn't exactly happen like that. One of the main reasons was because I didn't prioritize my education. So for everybody in this room right now, do me a favor and say education. We're going to try one more time. Hopefully it doesn't take 3. Everybody in the room, do me a favor and say education. That is the most important job you have right now outside of your mental well-being. Please make your education your #1 priority if you haven't already done so, because that was the biggest part of my dream and I gave it the smallest amount of attention and it came back and bit me in the long run. So not only did I struggle academically, when I got to Saddleback College where I met Coach Lito, I still in my mind thought, you know what, it's not a big deal. I'm still going D1, I'm still going to the NFL. However, somebody say adversity. Somebody say adversity. That's exactly what I met almost instantly the first time I stepped on the college campus. Coming from a high school career where I had, minor injuries, maybe a couple slight concussions to just about dislocated shoulder, separated AC. Sat me down for 3 months. It's no big deal. I'm young. I got a full head of energy. I'm ready to get back on my grind. First day of practice, I tear my left knee, my left meniscus and my left knee, fracture my patella. Not a big deal. I'm devastated, but this ain't the end of the world, right? And I'm going to give you my story in a snapshot so we can get to what I feel is the most important stuff. This first surgery I had to have on my knee, it took me 6 months to get it because of insurance purposes, right? However, when I finally got the surgery, it took me another 7 months to recover. I played 7 minutes that first season. Somebody say discouraged. Now, I knew what it was, but I didn't necessarily feel that then. I still, you know what, I'm going D1, I'm going to the NFL. Coming off a season where I played 7 minutes, the season ends, and just like that, you got maybe a week after the season as far as football, and then you got winter conditioning, and then you're getting ready for spring ball, right? I do everything that I know to do. I got myself in shape. I was probably like 190 when I got to Saddleback. I'm like 240. I'm feeling like I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm back on the depth chart. I'm back on the field. Game 5 of my second season, I tear my right meniscus. Somebody say familiar. I got to a place where I knew this was familiar to me. I felt this pain already in my left leg, so when it happened to my right leg, middle of this game, I'll never forget playing Riverside. I said, I've been here before. So that first surgery that took me just about a half a year to recover, the second time around, somebody say resilience. My ability to overcome something uncomfortable, my ability to overcome adversity, it took me 4 weeks. I was back on the field by game 9. So through this game of football, which I thought would take care of my life in essence, where I'm going to the NFL and taking care of my whole family, it gave me a foundational principle to know that in any sport, in any life, there's highs as well as what? There's highs as well as what? So now I get to utilize the game of football and everything that I can remember to go out and encourage the next generation. So as I'm saying this, and I'm saying a lot, and it may not all make sense, but if you can, and if you have the means to, take notes on your phone, because I'm not the type of speaker where I just want to come in here and tell you what I think you need to hear. I'm going to do my best as I'm going through my story before you to pull out things that I feel are important. And right now, I feel like in this day and age, in this generation, you all need resilience more than anything. You all are exposed to a lot more. You all probably feel a lot more. And your ability to overcome these things quickly is what's going to separate you from doing or not doing. Does that make sense? And what that looked like, if you ever, wake up upset or, on your way to school, somebody tick you off and you spend the first half of your day still thinking about that, you've lost. Because I'm not telling you not to be upset, but what I'm telling you is be mindful of how you live your life while upset or feeling whatever it is that you may feel. What does your process of overcoming the adversity look like? Do you stay mad for the whole day, or do you have a process? You take a couple deep breaths and you think about the things that are important to you and you move past it. Somebody you feel did you wrong, do you hold it against that person forever, or do you go to your process of, breaking down things and trying to work through what happened to move past it? That's what I use my life for, as a means and a foundation to help other people grow. I wrote this book titled Mental Hope. Somebody say hope. Now, I'm sure each and every person in this room has a different definition of hope. I feel like hope is something we all need. But the definition for me is to help other people evolve. That means helping other people grow. So if I can utilize my story and my energy to do that, I'll give every day to it. So to get back to my story, Game 5, I'm back on the field. And to be honest, the injuries, which I thought would keep me from getting recruited, is the very thing that got me recruited. Because coaches said, we need somebody like you with your mindset in our locker room. So now this became more of a mission to me. It wasn't really about X's and O's. It was about how can I take my circumstances and my situation to take this dream that I have as far as I can. So, signed a scholarship to a school called Fort Lewis College. Looking back in my mind at 19, or whenever I signed my scholarship, this was a school that had a losing record. They had a coach that had experience at big-time college ball, as well as NFL career, a short NFL coaching career. But I said, man, this is a perfect opportunity to go to a school that's losing and trying to rebuild as I'm trying to rebuild myself as a person. And I stuck with it. And when I got there, I was met with more adversity. Going to a small school where I had a pretty decent-sized scholarship, I had to play on both sides of the ball and special teams. So where in my mind, I'm thinking I'm going to go become the best pass rusher I can. I'm an all-conference guy, is what they were feeding me. When I got there, it was, we need you to play left end. We need you to play left D tackle. We need you to play right D tackle. We need you to play right end. By the way, we also need you on the punt team. So here it is. I get lost in my feelings, and I'm feeling what I like to call, or what I know to call, depression. I didn't know it was called depression just yet. I just know I felt really empty. I felt tired, and the collegiate ground is much like business, especially you sign a scholarship. Now you have a job to do, and if you don't, then the amount of money you get to pay for your classes and your food goes away. So if you think you're already right now living under pressure, and this is a life that you want to pursue, get comfortable in the pressure. And I'm extremely lucky and fortunate to have coaches that didn't close the door on me when I struggled. There's times where I walked away from my team, which I identify as myself being in some sort of a crisis. Walked away from, I was ready, dressed for practice one day. I walked in the locker room. I told a couple of my teammates, like, man, I'm done. I can't do this no more. Just because I was so caught up in what I was feeling, and I feel like my school and my coaches came, all the way from Colorado to Las Vegas and told me things that were not true as far as my role in the team and, my chances to go play ball at the next level. And it all festered in my mind because I didn't express how I felt, which is another reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Encouraging people to learn how to become better communicators, to communicate effectively. I don't know if you all watch the news, or even, I'm sure, just in school, fights happen, relationships are ruined because somebody says something or heard something and we're not exactly sure, and we never go figure out what the truth is. We just go off what we have in our head. I did that until I came to a point where I blew up, and that blow up looked like me walking away from my scholarship. And I almost dropped my classes. But I had people around me. Somebody say support. I had people around me that supported me, that I can trust, and that's another thing I want to encourage you to do. Surround yourself with wise counsel, because it's not a matter of if, but when you run into a situation that you may not have the answers to. I'm 32 years old now, and if I had just a small glimpse of the wisdom or direction I have now back then, my life would be a whole lot different, because a lot of the things that I bumped my head on were emotional things. Needing some attention and not knowing exactly how to get it. Needing to talk to somebody and not knowing exactly how to talk. And I know without even asking, some of you, if not all of you, are feeling the same thing in one form or another. Right? So, sign the scholarship, I get to the school, and this is where I first encountered this deep sadness and discouragement, borderline feeling sorry for myself, but that wasn't the most strongest thing that happened in my life. When I was in California, I met this girl who I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. In June 27th of 2014, and I'm sharing this not to be insensitive, but just to be honest and direct. I lost, my first love and best friend at the time to suicide. And in that moment, I feel like that's when I truly came alive. I also felt the closest to death. Because when I heard suicide, it was like you in the gym, coach blow the whistle, you get down to one side of the court, you touch the line, and you get back. It was something that I equated to conditioning. But when this happened, I said to myself, yesterday is gone, and tomorrow may never come, so all I have is today. And that was the start of my brand, Day One Ambition, and my philosophy or mantra, which I live by, every day is day one. And it's like giving yourself the space and grace to heal and to cope with whatever it is that you're feeling or whatever it is that you got to process, right? And I know everybody can resonate with, for the most part, that feeling you have on the first day of school. You got your fit lined up. You're like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm going to kill them with this one. But what happens when that excitement of the new year fades? Or you excited on day one of practice, of the season. Everybody fired up. Everybody want to be a starter. Everybody ready to do their best. What happens when you get halfway through the season and you're thinking about it being over? And this might be a little bit over your head, but, what happens in relationships with people and families are like, I'm just doing this for the kids. I'm just doing this for my family. All of these things are correlated with one thing that fits into the Day One Ambition philosophy is that if you don't have the same ambition or enthusiasm on day one, on year 5, on week 5, on month 5, then it's time to sit down and reevaluate your life. And this is something that you can always do to reflect, to assess, and make the most necessary adjustment for your life. A lot of these things are not necessarily right or wrong, but figuring out what's right for yourself. And is this the right time for me to do this? If you don't have the same fire to do what you're doing that you had on day one, it's time to reevaluate. Because if you're not going to do it to the best of your ability, why not do it? Why even do it? Be honest with yourself. Take a breath, take a break, and then come back to it. You save yourself a lot of pain and a lot of heartache by just paying attention to yourself. I've been doing this, I'm short. In June of this year, it'll be 10 years of me advocating for mental health and talking about depression and suicide. And it used to be, such a topic that people pushed away from, and then it became a trend. But for me, it's just life. And I want to connect the dots. I smashed my finger this morning on the ironing board, and it's been bothering me. And I feel like it was the perfect thing to talk about this morning because sometimes I think we forget what pain feels like. And then when we run into pain, we shut down because we don't have a process of what to do with it. It's nothing more than being overwhelmed in life. The feeling I have before I speak is the same feeling I had before I played any football game. What we call pregame what? Somebody tell me, pregame what? I heard it. Pregame what? Pregame jitters. I think that's also pregame anxiety. Right? But sometimes we don't necessarily identify things as what they are because of what we've been taught and what we've been told. I know some other people have test what? Test anxiety. So as I'm going through my life, I start going back and feeling, you know what? I felt this feeling in that situation. I felt the same feeling in that situation. All these different situations gave me the same feeling. I'm like, okay, that's exactly what it is. So now at 27, at the time when I was 27, I really put a name and a label on anxiety. And I explained it as that pressure that was living inside of me. And then I realized anxiety or depression, I think, don't have to come from things that are negative. When I was being recruited, I didn't get recruited by a lot of big schools, but it seemed like overnight I had like 27 offers, and a lot of them were schools that I never even heard of. It brought me this feeling of discouragement. And I said to my mom, I don't want to play football no more. Every coach is saying the same thing, who can I trust? And my mom said, son, your whole life you've been talking about getting a scholarship. You never said where to. So in that moment, I knew that it's important to have a dream, but it's important to have a vision of what you want this dream to look like, what it feel like, what it smell like, what it sound like. And this is a time for you, if you haven't already done so, to sit down and put together a space for you to carve out what you want your life to look like. And I was an athlete, so I'm always going to speak to the athletes, but to students in general, especially with NIL, if that don't inspire you to say, listen, not only are schools recruiting you, but you should be what? Recruiting schools. And how do you do that? By putting yourself in position to have leverage. You have collateral. Hey, coach, I like your community. I like your campus. I like the courses you guys offer. But can you explain to me how that benefits me? Because this is what I bring to the table. And I guarantee you, if you go and you sit down with anybody, whether it's life, whether it's business, whether it's a potential partner, whatever the case may be, if you can go and communicate clearly, the conversation will be different. Because it says not only are you serious about what you're doing, you know your worth. All of these things I just learned over the course of life and just getting up and knocking on doors, metaphorically. I will not be denied. It's not about being the best. It's not about being the strongest or the fastest. It's about the willpower. Just to be doing what I'm doing now, I've had to, you would think, and I always laugh about this sometimes, it's a lot easier to just do negative things, right? However, what is in your heart? What does your character tell you? What do you believe for yourself? And I even know in situations like this where schools will bring me in to talk to students, and now I see students talking to each other, and I see so many, presenters or people that take that personal. I don't even take it personal. Because what I realize is in things in life, you're going to do it right or you'll do it twice. And when somebody is coming to talk to you and to pour into you, that's when you open up your ears. But see, a lot of us are not even built or trained to listen, to understand. We are built to listen, to respond. All of these things that we are learning in school about being a student first will help you in your life. And I love the people that say, I don't need algebra in my life. I don't need that. My question is this. Math is all about solving what? I'm going to say it again. Math is all about solving what? Okay. And math teaches you processes to solve problems, correct? So at best, if you just look at math like that as, this is just teaching me how to solve problems that can be simple or complicated, depending on the situation, and you equate that to life, you're going to have problems almost every day for the rest of your life, whether it's a big problem or a small problem. And if you think that sitting down and reading through questions and figuring out the process to get the answer won't save you, you just don't want to see how it can save you. See, I've become a very optimistic person. I want to see the good in everything, even in the bad. Even if something is losing somebody to suicide. I feel like I needed to go through that to be able to help people that are feeling like they're down here. This message that I'm wearing, the world wouldn't spend the same without you, was inspired by a 12-year-old girl that I've never met and wouldn't even be able to identify, just working at a facility where we dealt with youth who are experiencing mental crisis. I read this note from her. This girl felt like her parents were possibly going to be deported, and she felt like it was her fault. So she felt like suicide would be the best solution. And I said to myself that day, there has to be a way I can communicate purpose and do it with passion to everybody in the world, regardless of where they come from, regardless of what they speak, regardless of what they have or don't have. The message was the world wouldn't spin the same without you. This is the only graphic that I've put together myself. I have a screen printing company, and I have graphic designers, but I specifically did this with myself because I had that download. It was given to me. And I'm sharing this with you because you're going to have at some point, if you haven't already, something that pull at your heart, something that you feel like you can't get away from. Even if you try, this was that. My question is this. Are you going to answer your call? Or are you going to run from it? Take that extra step? Or you good where you at? When I got the news that this situation occurred in my life, I went to my coach. I said, Coach, I don't know exactly what to do. He said, you're not supposed to. And then what he said after that, he said, there's two types of people in this world. Ones that hear sirens and they run away, and ones that hear sirens and they run to them. You're one of the people that's going to run to the sirens. And this is exactly what I'm doing. There's a siren going off in this room right now, quietly. And if you're feeling and hearing that siren, I'm talking directly to you. This is your time to get with one of your staff members, get with a friend you trust, get with a parent and say, listen, this is what I'm feeling. Especially at 11th grade. What am I going to do after school? What does it look like? Everything that you've been doing the last 11, 12 years getting ready to come to an end. What's going to seem like overnight? Are you prepared for the transition? Do you have a plan? Are you serious about this plan? Is this what you really plan on doing, or is this just a plan to get your parents off your back? Are you just trying to keep your mind busy from things that you're really feeling and dealing with? These are the questions that you have to sit down and provide a space for to answer. And it's okay if you don't know. It's okay if you're scared, but don't just dwell on these things by yourself. And I'm not sharing these things to trigger anybody, but I do want you to feel like you have support and that you're not dealing with things that you have to fight silently, because that's where a lot of battles are lost. And as I was driving over here, I said to myself, just in thought, sometimes I cry when I'm by myself, just thinking about all the times I had to provide myself the means to keep going. And now I look back and I can reflect on those things, and sometimes the tears are not necessarily sad tears, but they're tears of joy, because I can see in times where I kept going, where I could have easily given up. The football injuries were just one part of my story. I've had 2 jaw surgeries. I've been hit by cars. I've experienced a lot of pain in different ways in my life, and I'm comfortable enough with pain to know that when you feel it, you can use it to grow through it. There's a strength in numbers, and together we can be the hope. So that's my umbrella. And if you're a person of a dreamer and a creative person, I've created a framework with my story and my philosophies and messages that are all on T-shirts to bring people together to kind of form like a community of hopeful individuals. Because not if, but when you fall and you're not so strong, then maybe you got a brother or a sister next to you that's firing from all cylinders. However, if we all work to make the betterment of our world a priority, then we all know how to lend a shoulder to the next person. And that's what we call self and social awareness. Not only do I make sure that I'm good, I do my best to make sure that people around me are good. And we know the greats of the world, the Kobes, the Michael Jordans, the people like that you would believe they make everybody around them better because we see their drive. Do you know we all have the power to be those same type of individuals? Regardless if the world knows you or not, your world knows you. And that's why it's important to know that the world wouldn't spin the same without you. The world you are the most connected to. The world you're most involved with. And I honestly believe that, you guys have so much potential, but If I could be honest, potential means nothing if you don't apply it. When you lay down at night to go to bed, did you earn your sleep? That's something that I ask myself. Did you earn your sleep, man? Did you give everything you could? Some days it's a yeah, and some days I find myself wondering, like, man, did you waste time today? Because it happens. But the fact is, I spent time in reflection, and I spent time evaluating myself in my life and looking at what I need to do to make the adjustments to put myself where I feel I believe to be. You got to decide that for you. Your teachers can't do it, your parents can't do it, your coaches can't do it. What is the vision you have for your life? What does it look like? Are y'all the ones that's going to change the culture here at Pincecrest? What's the culture like? Do you know? How many people on campus know you for the right reasons? What's the impact you're going to leave look like? Those are the questions that I'm asking to you. How do you truly feel about yourself and the decisions that you're making? Do they make you happy? Do they make you feel sad? What does the next 2 to 3 years of your life look like? These are all questions that I hope that you would be asking. What is it that makes you happy? Do you know? What are the qualities you have that people enjoy the most about you? And I can be honest with y'all, when I graduated from high school, I was just about a 1.9 GPA guy. I really didn't care about school. And now I feel so bad because I'm like, man, education is powerful. However, I graduated just about, in honors, which to me was a long shot from where I was. But it took me to college to focus on my academics, and it's probably because I had an experience where somebody looked at me and said, you must be here for football. And that did something to me inside. It was in that moment that I knew I'm more than just a body. I'm more than just somebody that can go out and clash like a titan. It's going to be hard for you all to reground if you don't even have the foundation set. So those are some of the things that I really, want to drive home to you. Resilience, adversity, having a dream, knowing your purpose, building your character, right? We hear a lot about manifesting. It was a few months ago that I just sat down and looked at the definition because a lot of people are just stuck on the speaking things into existence part. I believe that, but we also have to work things into existence. And how do we do that? By consistency. What is it that you do day in and day out? Manifestation, from my understanding, is to make things clear, make things evident. In other words, I will not be denied at this. And what I'm doing right now is a result of a decision that I made to go out and speak hope, go out and speak healing, go out and share stories, because stories can change the world. And each of you are writing a story. So be mindful that everything that you do and everything that you say carries the power to build or destroy everything that you're building. How do you talk to yourself? How do you deal with the feeling of failure? And I'm at a place in my life now, outside of the speaking and outside of the brand, also wrote a 12-week program that's published, and it's in some schools. I have another program called Raise the Bar that I haven't even published yet. I run a specialized foster home. So I do a lot of things every day. And if you haven't felt this already, sometimes you get to a place where you accomplish things and then you kind of like want to take off the gas. But now I'm looking at life different. With my screen print company, it's not even necessarily about the money I can make, but how many 5-star reviews can I get? I'm identifying this process that if I'm doing shirts for you or your company, how can I get a 5-star review from you? That's my new passion. And I look at success and I think success can be instant. However, wealth is in the longevity. So now you have fought to put yourself in position. Do that for 1,000 days and see how you feel. Don't be so concerned with hitting a home run, just get on base. think it's easy to spend so much time looking for the next biggest move that we overlook the small moves that can make big impacts. Whether it's life or business, even relationship. As a speaker, I thought I would be speaking in stadiums with thousands of people. That aspiration was short-lived. I could care less if it's one person or two, I'm gonna give the same message. I did this probably for 5 years before I ever even started thinking about, getting out there and promoting myself. I did it for 9 years before I got paid to do it. But I had to make sure that my passion was in the right place. I had to make sure that I can get before people and talk about the deepest, darkest things in my life without breaking down and going into crisis. And in 2020, right at the cusp of the pandemic, I was fired. I was, booted from the police academy, which I felt was wrongful. And in that moment, if I could be honest with y'all, I think I cried from the time I left the facility till I got to my car. I was completely puzzled, right? Here it is, the position that I thought I wanted to be in outside the NFL, probation officer. I'm halfway through the academy, and I'm thinking that I'm just being hazed because it comes with the territory. In my mind, I'm like, I'm prepared for this. I've been through college ball, been through fall camp. I haven't met anything tougher than fall camp. So when these people are just yelling at me and screaming at me and making me do push-ups, I'm like, this is easy. And I know I'm getting paid to do it. But it was deeper than that. They were trying to provoke me. They were trying to get me out of character. I had to write anywhere from 10 to 90-page papers by hand. Like, just think about it. I'm here till 5 o'clock, and then Coach Lito say, B, by the time you get back in the morning, I need a 20-page paper on following instruction. And I'm like, okay, cool, I got you. And I'm drawing stick figures. I'm thinking outside the box, thinking that they want to just see me be innovative. The whole time they're setting me up for failure. The papers got bigger, got longer, 90 pages. And I'm not talking about sitting at the computer typing. Like, look, you need to handwrite this 90-page paper and have it to turn in tomorrow morning. So things got a little real, right? And I don't need to go into that detail, but what I realize is sometimes we'll fight so hard to be somewhere we're not supposed to be when the path is clear and it's chosen. And this was more of a spiritual awakening for me. When I got to my car, I cried my last tear, and I said, this is the last time I put anything over my mission to speak hope and healing into the world. And I haven't looked back. Was it easy? Absolutely not. However, I'm not chasing what's easy. I'm chasing what I feel is my purpose. So whatever your journey looks like, whatever hard times you encounter, that's not the time to beat yourself up. I need you to dig deep. I need you to find the meaning in it and seek to it. Because life will not stop. So everything that I shared through my journey while in school prepared me for the adversity I experienced after school. The injuries, got hit by a car. It was completely random, left in the street. And I'm a runner. In 2020, I ran 100 miles in 10 days, and we engaged about 40,000 people. And that's what inspired me to write the book, because I couldn't have the conversation with everybody that reached out. So then once we did the book, then it inspired the program, because I couldn't be in every place at the same time. But all it did was put me in a position where I can only, touch so many people with my words, but my books, my programs, they can go everywhere at the same time. So now we can increase our impact. So from where you're standing, how can you increase your impact? As a student, what role do you play as a student? Do you go in and check on your educators? Do you go in and see where you can be the hope? Do you stay after to make sure the desks are set up? When you leave this cafeteria, do you make sure the tables are aligned? You make sure the trash is up. These are all things that we can do here to help lighten the load for everybody else. Because this is not just a school to you. This is like a second or a third home. Think about how much time you spend here. If that don't light your flame to take more care of it, I don't know what will. And if there's anything I want you to see more than the fact that you matter and you have a purpose, it's the fact that we have the power to create change. if you have the desire. So it's been an honor and pleasure to come here today and share with you all. I hope there's some things you took from it. I hope there's some things that you can apply. I don't have no magic words. Everything that I'm talking about is what I get up and do every single day. Chase the carrot, chase the purpose. Do my best to live and be the best person I can be for myself and for the people around me. And to be honest, a lot of the growth that I've experienced, people will never be able to look at me and tell because it happened in the mirror. The way I talk to myself. Don't justify your actions. Don't cut corners. Foundational principles that will carry you for your lifetime. Character, consistency, and confidence. That's my creed for my program. My second program is called How to Raise the Bar, the Creed to Self-Elevation. And the C in creed is character, confidence, and consistency. Resiliency, education, effort, and discipline. Now, I could care less if you have aspirations of playing sports, of starting a business, or just working a job. If you go in and you are consistent, you have great character, and you're confident, you're resilient, you educate yourself, you put in your best effort, and you remain disciplined, I guarantee you, you'll be successful in this life. And the last thing before I close is to inspire you or encourage you all to spend some time and think about what success is to you so that when you have it, you can identify it. For me, it's stability, mentally, physically, and financially. Every day is day one. You have the power to be the hope.